Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the webinar for the Madison Street corridor sites. Um, let's give it, say, another 30 seconds here to allow folks to join to make sure that everyone who wants to be part of this can join. So we'll get going real soon. All right, well, it looks like we're kind of at the same number here. We don't have more people coming into the webinar. So Uh, yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Hacker. I'm a supervising planner for the West region here at the Department of Planning and Development, or DPD, City of Chicago. I'll just kind of list off my colleagues who are here joining me. We've got David Scully, our Managing Deputy Director of the Bureau of Planning and Design, Cindy Rubik, uh, Alejandro Valverde and Mark Jones from the West Region team, uh, as well as David Conway from our communications staff. And we're going to present some information today on the RFP that we recently released for 4 sites on the Madison Street corridor. Go ahead and get right into the details here. So, like all of the land sales that we post, this opportunity is through Shy Block Builder, which is the city's land sale portal. So this RFP is going to be open for application until 11:59 p.m. on Friday, October 31st. Everything for the application process will be handled through Shy Block Builder's submittable portal, and there's instructions on the naming format there that's provided, but everything that you need to upload and all the information that you need to provide for the applications is going to be through Shy Block Builder. If you look at that image that's on the lower right, when you go to the page to apply for lots, there's a sales program on the right, so you can select RFPs specifically, and you can select the sites that you want to apply for. You can see it's a little bit small, I'm sorry, but there's 4 sites here, and so you can select those sites to apply for them, and you can filter it in various different ways to get there. But anyhow, Shy Block Builder is the only way that you can apply for this RFP, just so everyone's clear on that. We're also taking questions about the application process that you can submit to me via email up until the end of this month, so September 30th. And then we'll be compiling all those questions and posting them on the DPD webpage or webpage for the RFP until October 15th. So what do you need to submit to apply for the RFP? This is, again, all outlined in Shy Block Builder and, clearly detailed there, but we're looking for information on the development team and an org chart. We're looking for examples of relevant experience in developing similar projects. We're looking for conceptual plans for the proposal. So, this doesn't need to be to the detail of construction drawings, obviously, but we need to understand, what the scale and design and massing of the project is going to look like. What are those conceptual floor plans, the building elevations, and renderings to show the project in the context of its surroundings. Uh, Similarly with the budget, we realize that the budget for these projects are not going to be laid out 100% down to the exact dime, but we do need to see a preliminary budget that identifies the sources and uses. And if there are any other documents that you want to provide background on that, like a pro forma or an itemized construction budget, those are also welcome. To the extent that you have it, we would like to see proof of financing. This could be in the form of a bank statement to back up any private equity that might be in the deal, potentially a pre-qualification letter from a lender. Um, we're also asking for information on how the project aligns with community plans, and you can upload any documentation that you have for local support. A lot of times this is in the form of a letter from the respective alder. We realize in the 27th Ward that that situation is in transition. So, we're not requiring for you to have a letter of support from the alderman since, there hasn't been one appointed yet. So we're also looking for you to clearly outline the public benefits of the project. And lastly, we are going to need information on your purchase offer. So I'll get more into what the target prices are for these sites, but we do take into consideration the offer that will be made for the city-owned parcels. For the selection process, you can see the scoring rubric on the right in blue there. So there's a point system that is assigned to the various different aspects of the application. This is going to apply, fairly to all the applications that we received. It's very clearly outlined, not only here, but on Shy Block Builder, if you want to refer to it there. But, uh, first off, we're looking for applicants that have experience developing, similar projects, applicants that have development experience, ideally in the city, maybe even on the west side. These are the types of things that, they're not required, but we would certainly hope to see from, applications that you've completed projects like what you're proposing in the past and can show documentation of that. We're also going to be considering, like I mentioned, the target price. Um, this can vary. It doesn't have to necessarily be a certain number that we're looking for, but it does factor into the evaluation. Um, so once the applications have been evaluated, just keep in mind the DPD may be following up with applicants. We might be requesting additional information and clarification on your application before we make a final decision on announcing a selected developer. We'll also be working closely with the 27th Ward to organize a public meeting and allow applicants to present proposals to the community. And then we're requiring that developers must initiate vertical development within 60 days of executing a redevelopment agreement with the city. So we are looking for these projects to be constructed in a timely fashion and move through those evaluation and approval processes efficiently. So to get into the details of the site, as mentioned, these are 4 development sites on Madison Street in the near west side and East Garfield Park community areas, going roughly, from the western boundary of the United Center and 1901 project, which I'm sure folks are familiar with, the major redevelopment effort that's going on around the United Center. It's been approved at Plan Commission, and phase 1 is, not necessarily under construction, but certainly underway. So going from that eastern boundary out roughly to Sacramento, we've got 4 sites of varying sizes and conditions and contexts. So going from east to west, cluster A is the site that's at 2055 to 59 West Madison Street. and 9 South Hoyne Avenue. So this is roughly 0 0.4 acres. It's currently in a B1-3 zoning district on the near west side. Uh, it's made up of 3 different city-owned parcels here. So on this site, it's directly across the street from the Manning branch of the Chicago Public Library. We're encouraging mixed-use commercial and residential development. The market value of this site is $711,061. And the target price is the same here. So just to distinguish between the two of these, the market value is what the property is valued at under the existing zoning and the potential development that it could occur there. The target price is uh, the number that we've come up with consultant assistance to set a price for what we think the value would be under the zoning that is desired for this site and the level of development intensity that we're foreseeing to be on this site. So this just provides you a little bit of information on the existing conditions here. This site, if you're familiar with it, at the corner of Madison and Hoyne, it has kind of a informal open space here. That it's not a Chicago Park District property, but is just, I think, kind of been maintained by the community over the years and improved. What we're envisioning on this site, as you can see in the massing that we've done here, which is just a conceptual vision for this site, is a mixed-use building. We're anticipating that this would be developed under a B3-3 zoning district, something that's around 55,000 square feet, 63 feet in height or less, with a commercial area of around 6,150 and estimated number of dwelling units around 35 to 40. So all the numbers that are being provided here, I realize they're fairly specific, but they are taking into consideration what the potential development capacity is under that B3-3 zoning district. So what you're seeing here is accurate to, like the height and floor area that you could build in this B3-3 district. Moving westward, roughly to the corner of Campbell and Madison at 2508 to 14 West Madison Street. Cluster B is just a little over 1/4 of an acre in size. It's currently zoned under a C2-2 zoning district. This is also in the near west side community area. Similar to the last site, we're anticipating a mixed-use commercial and residential development on this location. It's currently valued under the existing zoning at just under 375,000, but we anticipate that with a zoning change and an increase in the development rights for this property, that the target price would be roughly 435,000. The site is just currently unapproved, and just a grassy kind of I won't say open space right now, but it's at a corner where there's a lot of vacant land here. And you can see it's currently C2-2, but we would like to upzone that to a B3-3, similar to the last cluster that was presented. This is a concept that could be developable under that recommended zoning district. We expect that you could develop about 42,000 square feet of gross floor area, again, a height of 63 feet or less, commercial area of just under 3,000 square feet, and estimated number of dwelling units from 28 to 33. So you can see the consistency between these two massings that we've shown here, where you've got ground floor retail that's fronting Madison, residential on the floors above, and then parking would be accessible off of the alley. So it's consistent across the two concepts that we've shown so far. Moving further westward, these are clusters C and D. So these are located at that kind of confluence of Madison, Francisco, and Fifth Avenue. So these are both fairly large city-owned sites here. Cluster C is the larger of the two. So this is fronting Madison at 2505 to 2529 West Madison. The property area is about 0.6 acres. It's currently zoned to C1-2. These are both in the East Garfield Park community area. For this cluster, similar to the past two, we also anticipate a mixed use commercial and residential development. It has a current market value of 543,100, but we expect that with the recommended zoning change, that target price would be 651,720. Cluster D is located across the alley from Cluster C to the south. This is at 2900 to 2914 West 5th Avenue. It's just two parcels. It's a third of an acre in area and also in a C1-2 zoning district currently. To deviate a bit from the other clusters, we're only recommending that this be a residential multifamily building here, since it's not located on Madison Avenue. Fifth Avenue, while there are some commercial or non-residential uses on it, is not quite the commercial district that Madison is. And so to contrast from the other three sites, we're only recommending a residential development here. The current market value is 272,000, and the target price under the recommended zoning would be 315,040. You can see here the existing conditions on these sites and the context. There is a community garden that's currently located on Cluster C, and we're in conversations with the folks in the community and the organization that manages that garden. They understand the conditions here and the situation with the RFP. So we're working with them to make sure that they understand the timeline for development and what the city's goals are on these sites, and also working with them to potentially relocate them to another city-owned parcel that's nearby. So we want to make sure that everyone who's on the call here understands that they're aware of the process here. For the development concepts that we're recommending on these sites, as I mentioned with Cluster C, this would also be recommended for a B3-3 zoning district. Under those zoning rights, you could develop a gross floor area of roughly 82,700 with a height of 83 feet or less. We expect about 5,400 square feet of commercial area that could be located in this building, and an estimated number of dwelling units of 70 to 75. For Cluster D, as I mentioned, this would be expected to be an all residential multifamily building. It doesn't, applicants don't have to, comply with this 100%. These are DPD's recommendations based on the context and location. Just, bear that in mind. But we're recommending a B2-3 zoning district here, which would allow for ground floor residential with a gross floor area of roughly 40,300, a height of 60 feet or less, no commercial square footage here, and an estimated number of dwelling units of 35 to 40. I want to stop now to just address the question of affordable units here. We're not making a requirement that these proposals have, a certain threshold of affordable units in them. But, we do encourage applicants to, comply with the ARO if this is going to be a market rate development, and to include those ARO units within the development as opposed to locating them elsewhere. And we're also understand that the market for these properties that are located to the west is that market rate rents here may be a little bit more challenging, and that we're also open to considering 100% affordable developments here. but there aren't any hard requirements in the RFP on the number of affordable units or the percentage of affordable units to be in these developments. We're leaving that open to the applicants to determine. So just for a little bit of context in the communities that these sites are located in, as I mentioned, we're working in the near West Side and East Garfield Park communities. Obviously, the biggest news in this area currently is that 1901 project, which would be a massive redevelopment of mostly surface parking lots around the United Center. And, if folks have been following the news around this, the first phase it would not include residential, but there's a large theater, a concert venue being proposed, retail, parking deck, a number of open spaces here to complement the United Center and kind of serve as a front yard for the arena there. But there are several future phases that are planned for the 1901 project as well that would include, a variety of uses, multifamily residential, more commercial, open space. Uh, so, this is the big news in the area here, and we think it will be something that will hopefully drive a lot of development interest in the area, particularly in areas where there's a lot of you know lots that have been sitting vacant and undeveloped for a long time, including these city-owned parcels that are in the RFP. There's also proximity to one of the biggest employment districts in the city of Chicago with the Illinois Medical District, just to the south of the Eisenhower. You've also got excellent transit access here. On the eastern end, you got the new Damon station on the Green Line, but there's also proximity to the Eisenhower branch of the Blue Line to the south, via bus. There are a number of bus routes, east-west bus routes that can take folks to downtown and the Loop for employment opportunities. There's excellent access to open space here with Garfield Park, a number of smaller parks in the area. And this is also an area where there is a lot of new development that's going to be occurring, in terms of commercial and community-oriented projects, as well as new multi-family affordable development. A lot of these projects are being supported by the city of Chicago and other public financing sources. But a couple of big ones to name is the Fifth City Commons, which is located along Fifth Avenue near Kedzie, which is a 100% affordable, publicly subsidized development, as well as Hub 32, which is at the Kedzie Green Line station, so near Kedzie and Lake. This is a project that Fifth City Commons is open and they've had a ribbon cutting there. Hub 32 is still in the planning and financing stages, but another project that'll be coming online to add new affordable residential to the area. The RFP outlines some guiding principles that we would like the applicants to take into consideration in your designs and in your concepts for what you're proposing. So some things that we would like to see reflected in the proposals are equitable transit-oriented development. If folks aren't aware of this concept, this is the notion that affordable, accessible housing should be developed within proximity to public transit amenities, allowing folks greater mobility and making sure that those mobility options are available to folks of all incomes, races, ethnicities, ages, genders, immigration status. We're also looking for projects that propose an active street frontage. So we want to see the developments engage with Madison Street or Fifth Avenue, really be oriented towards the pedestrian environment, include landscaping and amenities that are going to improve that pedestrian experience. We're also hoping that these developments will incorporate open spaces that could be, outdoor plazas, rooftop decks, even, balconies, places for folks in these multifamily buildings to get access to the outdoors and gather. As previously mentioned, the sites that are located on Madison should include retail space that, provides transparency on the ground floor, allows for active uses there. We definitely be encouraging applicants to reach out to local small businesses that might want to be a partner on the project and incorporate, locally based businesses in these developments as potential tenants in the project. And as you can see from the massings, we're also encouraging all of these developments to have access to parking located off of the alley. Trying to discourage curb cuts along Madison or Fifth here. All of these sites have alley access that could provide parking in the back that's screened from the main right-of-way. And getting to our last slide here, I just want to call attention to the fact that we have posted an addendum on the RFP page that addresses the elements outlined here on the screen. So you've got some notes on the conditions of acceptance. I already touched on this a bit, that we may be looking for additional clarification or information for the proposed projects before we make an evaluation decision. In terms of environmental conditions, we just want to outline that these properties are sold as is. Applicants will be responsible for any, remediation that's required on them. The city will provide environmental assessments at the applicant's request. Sorry, what am I missing here? And that we can't guarantee the full accuracy or completeness of the information that's provided. It's to the best of our knowledge. And then lastly, there's some release and indemnification information that's, I'll let you dig into the details of that on the RFP site. But just to kind of wrap up here, on that RFP page, if you go to Chicago.gov/DPD, there is an icon that you can click on for all of the RFPs that are posted. On that page, you can get the RFP document itself. There's also a link to Shy Block Builder and how to apply, and it provides you with all the information that you'll need for that application process. And again, to reiterate, the application deadline is 11:59 p.m. Friday, October 31st. You can also go directly to the Shy Block Builder website to apply, and then we will be taking questions until September 30th. You can send them to my email, brian.hacker@citychicago.org, and we'll be posting those the responses to those questions, as well as any other information that we feel is relevant, in an FAQ document on that RFP page that I previously mentioned. So we're about halfway through the webinar, and that will give us a solid half hour to take your questions and address any other comments or anything like that you may have. Anyone from the DPD team want to add anything before we get into questions or comments?
No, you did a great job, Brian. We can just wait a little bit to see if there are questions submitted in the queue. But we are recording this video, and the recording will be posted online. We'll also share the deck online as well, and people can still submit questions directly to you, Brian. So there are certainly many ways people can get their questions answered, even if they are not able to think of them right now. So just to let folks know.
Yeah, just to make sure, because I'm not seeing any questions in the chat here, if anyone has anything that you'd like to ask, any comments that you'd like to make, please feel free to answer them into the Q&A field there.
I
Otherwise, we could
have one, Brian. I don't know.
wrap up early.
Brian, can you hear me? Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
We have one question that was just added.
Oh, yeah, I see from Mike Thomas.
Uh,
I'm not sure. Do we post the
yes.
list of attendees? Okay.
Yes, so we did ask a question for all the registrants of the webinars if they are okay with sharing their name and email and organization on a list, and if we're collecting that information. So if there's anyone who said they do not want their information shared, then we would not include them. But yes, that will be posted onto the webpage as well, the list of registered participants. Good question. There's another question, Brian, about the timeline for the selection process.
Sorry about that. Uh, yeah, so actually, I don't know, Cindy, do you have thoughts on that? Because I know that these can vary depending on the number or the amount of interest that we get, and then kind of depending on the completeness of the applications. Because there's been some times where we need to follow up with the respondents to these RFPs, and it can be a little bit of a moving target, unfortunately. But
Yeah, hard to commit to an exact time frame because we don't know the nature of the amount of submissions we're going to get, as well as the completeness of them. That's exactly right, Brian. So sometimes we will need to have a cure period and provide everyone a chance to kind of answer some questions that we need clarifications before we are able to continue with our evaluation process. And so and we'll certainly want to coordinate with whoever is appointed alder person for this area as well. So that may, depending on that timing, could potentially impact our timeline for announcing the selected teams. In some cases, we do have a community meeting with a shortlisted number of teams as well before we make a final selection so that we gather feedback from the community. This is also a little bit dependent, again, on the quantity and completeness of and eligibility of the applications that we get.
yeah, we certainly try to be as efficient as possible on this and not drag our feet. But there is a lot of coordination that needs to be done, and we want to make sure that when we're selecting a developer, that we've done our due diligence and asked all the questions that we need to ask and coordinate with all the partners that should be a part of the conversation. Um, There's another question from Brian. So curious how much interest the city sees in parcels in this area. Do you anticipate additional development beyond the projects mentioned? So yeah, particularly in the East Garfield Park area, as well as the near west side, that is an area where there is, at least on the west side, which I can only speak for, those are two areas that get a lot of interest from whether it's a small scale developer or someone who's maybe wants to purchase the lot that's like next door to their home. We do get a lot of inquiries around city-owned land in that area, and you know in a positive development here, we've actually seen a lot of infill development starting to occur in that area where you've had blocks that have a lot of vacant land on them that have sort of been an issue to the residents there for a long time, for a number of reasons. And you're starting to see kind of smaller scale infill development occur there, like 3 to 6 flats, things of that nature, some single family homes as well. So yeah, there is a positive narrative around new housing and infill development occurring here in the community, some of which has been affordable. I mentioned a couple of the projects earlier, so there's infill development happening, but there's also some larger scale multifamily affordable developments that are occurring in this area. So we're seeing a good trend to fill in that long time vacant land that has been an issue in these communities. The next one is sharing a link to the RFP page and attendees list. So yeah, it looks like Cindy is on that one. Another question from Thomas, are certified architects required for applicants? So that is applicable for the missing middle program, but we're not requiring it for these RFPs here. So with the missing middle, we ask that of developers to, because it's smaller, 2 flat, 3 flat style development, and we want those to just move on a really aggressive timeline. But for the RFPs, we will not require that self-certified architects be part of the org chart. And yeah, thanks for the comment, Brian. Okay, well, if we don't have any other open questions here, we can wrap up a little bit early. I think anybody will argue with that. Okay, sorry, we got another one here. Are there any city subsidy programs available for the chosen developer? Are there any city subsidy programs for those who buy or lease an affordable unit? So yes, there are a number of potential answers to this question here. In the past, there have been some RFPs that have gone out that have been a little bit more prescriptive in identifying what some of those sources would be that would be put into the financing for it. We're leaving it more, open-ended here and to be determined by the applicants. Folks who are interested in these sites can take a look at, the market data and see, what is feasible and what is not feasible, with city subsidies or without city subsidies or other public financing sources as well. So we want to, as opposed to telling folks here, you can expect to slot in X million dollars from low-income housing tax credits to your project and this amount of CDG grant or whatever. We're leaving it up to the applicants to be creative and make some calls. And when you're formulating your budgets, to we want to see what you come back with, and we do encourage folks to go and do their homework on the city financing sources that are out there. Obviously, the CDG program is something that has financed a number of projects, all across the city. So, we assume that folks are going to be aware of that, and potentially including some of these sources in their applications. And just in terms of like housing financing, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we're not telling applicants that they should be, doing all affordable here or all market rate here. Again, we kind of want to leave it up to developers to decide what's marketable for the area and what's financially feasible. So, we're open to basically all, I don't want to say proposals when it comes to the financing. Did you have something you wanted to add, Cindy?
I mean, that's true. We are open to all proposals, of course. This is a request for proposals. So that's the part that we're, transparent and we're trying to, provide as transparent of a process, right? There are definitely, when you look at the scoring rubric, though, we will look at the financial feasibility of the project that you're proposing, the path to viability, how easy it will be for you to secure your financing and to secure any gap financing that you have, and how much of a gap that is, and what your expectations are of the city. So I think, of course, we would judge that too, right? So if there's a project that requires less city financial assistance than another project of very similar program, then that will be weighed accordingly. So I just want folks to understand that we are looking at project readiness very seriously. in these RFPs. And we did identify there are some other programs that the developer can take advantage of. The sites are located within an enterprise zone, which is great. And so, definitely look at that program. The Madison corridor is part of the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, but those applications are a separate application process than the RFP, right? And so the goal is first for development team to be selected. And again, we weigh the financial viability of the projects as part of that evaluation process. And then after that, if you are needing to apply for separate city financial assistance, then you would do it once you have that kind of site control process figured out. There's also other programs. Cluster C and D are within the Illinois Opportunity Zone. So that is something that, again, developers should look into. And that there's the state incentive Affordable Illinois, HB 2621, for projects that include a certain percentage of affordable units on site. So definitely look into that. And then we are seeing a lot of developers utilize the Housing and Urban Development Section 221D4 mortgage loan program for both rehab and new construction for lower interest rates. So just those are all identified in the program guide in the appendix. Just wanted to call them out to you today during this webinar, in case you did not know that we have identified those programs. I'm sure there's more, but we just wanted to list at least a handful of them. And just to make sure everyone is aware of our scoring rubric as well.
Yeah, and I do want to add one more thing. I think just to be clear, any sort of subsidy that would be for affordable housing would still have to go through the qualified allocation plan for either DOH or IDA. Like those processes still exist. But this is really, for us to, I think, get an opportunity to understand what's out there. We want, it's a request for proposals. We want to see, kind of what pencils out, what makes sense. If it is, affordable housing, if there is a gap, if it is commercial, we want to understand that and be able to work through those processes to finance and potentially make those projects implementable. But just to be clear, those are separate processes from this RFP. Those do not come packaged with the actual RFP itself.
Yeah, thank you both. And applicants can go ahead and put that into your funding sources table that you're providing, and we understand that if you're saying that you're going to be funding it with, say, NOF or what have you, that it's something that you're anticipating applying for and securing after your project is selected. So yeah, good things to note. Similarly, I know that question also too asked about funding assistance for potential leasers or buyers of affordable units, and just similar to what we've been saying, everything that is currently out there is on the table, provided that applicants meet the eligibility requirements. There's DOH has, as well as the state, and even I think other agencies have assistance for home buyers. So if it's say a condo unit, anything that's out there and currently available and eligible, would apply in these instances as well. Brian asked about any city opportunities for assistance with development on privately owned vacant land along West Madison, particularly further west between Pulaski and Cicero. I guess it really depends on the type of development, but more so with things like commercial, industrial development, or even in some instances, nonprofit, services, things of that nature. There's the community development grant option that's out there. In terms of housing, for kind of infill housing, mostly, the programs that we have, like missing middle and city lots for working families, are focused on city-owned lots. So once you start getting into, privately owned, like infill development, like say you want to build a two flat on a typical residential sized parcel somewhere on the west side, uh, there's not really a lot of options out there, at least from DPD's, stance. But you can feel free to email me as well if you have any specific questions or you want to get kind of more into the weeds of what what you're interested in, and if there's even any particular sites that you're talking about. So I'm available to take questions that are kind of peripheral to the RFP here. My email is in the slide deck and on the RFP site. So feel free to reach out about anything West Side related. And the other question to you was asking if the slides would be posted, and the answer to that is yes. That will also be on that RFP page that has everything RFP related there, so it's kind of a one-stop for anything you might need related to this project.
Great.
Got one more. Oh, let's see. We got the answer to the one around the question about prevailing wage. That's all good. Okay, great, thank you. From Alteza Group, while we understand that joint ventures are not part of the published scoring rubric, will DPD nonetheless encourage or view favorably proposals that include joint ventures, particularly those involving emerging developers, MBE, WBE firms, or community-based partners? If so, could you clarify how much partnerships would be regarded in the evaluation process? David or Cindy, would you like to take this one? I can also pull up the rubric
The
for
rubric, because
reference.
there actually
Yeah.
is reference to both proven track record and also development experience in the community area is also considered. So I think that often, while we don't require people to do development as a joint venture, often to meet both both of those, it's good to have a group together that can at least show both of those are provided. So both the proven experience, capacity to execute the project, and development experience in the community area is also considered. I think there's more information. So this slide is just a high-level summary. There's more detailed information in the program guide on page 14 that I'm literally just quoting from it. So yes, we'll review proposals favorably that both have the qualifications and also experience in the community area. It's going to be favorably looked at.
Yeah, I think that's really captured in the scoring that's under like the team's relevant experience. If it's a developer that has built a similar project, not just even in the city of Chicago, but like on the west side, and has ties to that community, that's obviously going to score well under the rubric as we have it laid out.
Yeah, and I think in general, we're excited to, just find those mentor proteges opportunities, to find opportunities for smaller, developers to team up with, more experience and ones to get, a little bit more experience under their belt. So, definitely supportive of that. I can't remember exactly what, number of points or that sort of thing in the scoring rubric, but it does definitely, help.
Yeah, we also have points for the community engagement plan for the proposal and the team. So I think that's another important point as well to make, that there's multiple areas in our scoring rubric where we would be evaluating the team's ability to kind of do that outreach and engagement with the local residents and the local businesses.
All right. I'm almost hesitant to say that we can wrap up here because every time I do that, somebody puts another question. So okay, I don't want to. I don't want to cut anyone off if they're in the middle of typing right now. But it does seem like they've sort of slowed here, and no one's dropped another question in there. But to that point, like I mentioned, my email is there, and we we'll also be publishing the FAQ that captures all the questions. I think we'll also all the questions that are in here. We'll be putting in that FAQ and posting it up on the website for folks that weren't able to attend. This is also recorded and will be posted, so folks can watch it on the DPD YouTube channel. So everything is available for anyone who wasn't able to join today, and we're always here to take any further questions, at least until the end of the month.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Brian. Thanks everyone for joining. We're very excited about this.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you all.
Thank you all
Bye.
very much.
Bye bye.